Enjoy the webinar, and welcome to Barbara. I'll speak to you after. Thanks, everyone. Hello. Oh, I love all this chat going on, so keep it up. Who's here for the first time listening to me for the first time? Have we got anybody, or have you all been here before? Yeah, me. Hey, Amanda. Zoe, hi. So the deal is just keep chatting and we'll keep talking away. I've got loads of stuff that I want to go through with you today, but it's great if we all kind of get engaged and you can chat to each other. I'm going to be asking loads of questions as we go along. You can by all means ask me loads of questions. Hi Faye, hi Heather, Lucy, hi. Welcome all these first timers, which is fantastic. It's really lovely to meet. I'm doing air bunnies to meet all of you today. So as Liz said, we do like our interaction here. So feel free to just get stuck in, and we can have a bit of a fun session. We've got this back to school vibe going on today. So has anyone else got back to school vibe? Is that just me? I think I should have grown out of that by now with my new notepad. Maybe it's just me. Right, so to kick us off then, while I tell you a little bit about me and what I do, can you tell me and answer this very first question is, what is your greatest challenge that you're facing in your role at the moment when leading other people? Oh, Faye, I do have a pen. Yes, not just me, yay! So answer this question. We're getting distracted. What would you say is your greatest challenge that you're facing in your role at the minute when leading other people? So if you start answering that question, and I'll just tell you a little bit about me. As you know, I'm Barbara Nixon, and I've been developing managers and leaders my whole career, which is getting on for about 20 years now. And it's something that I absolutely love doing. I do this through one-to-one coaching. I run management and leadership programs in a classroom format. I do a lot of online training, such as running webinars such as this one, and I do e-courses that I launch every year. I'm also in the process of publishing my first book and launching a podcast, a weekly podcast, which is coming up soon. All of this focuses on supporting you to get the very best out of your teams and yourself so you can work smarter and achieve the results that you need. If this is something that interests you, visit my website, barbaranixon.co.uk, and subscribe to my weekly newsletter. I'll give you details at the end of this session. So let's have a look at what you've said then. Let's see if I can read some of that. Leading remote workers, we've got supporting and developing new first-line managers, managing performance, yeah. Coaching on difficult conversations. I think we did a webinar on that a while back, so it might be worth you looking into that. Knowing how to deal with difficult people. Managing upwards, yeah, definitely, Daniel. It's a really important skill to have. Performance management, negativity, yeah. Counteracting negative attitude in the team. I'll just run down these. Laura, managing a team that I was once part of. Yeah, definitely, good call. So managing a team that you're once part of, that you're now the team leader. Tricky, but yeah, you can do it. It's good, and it'll be great. Delivering criticism. Motivating people to use their own initiative. So we're going to touch on some of those, and if you've got any questions around any of those, please do shout up, and I'm going to kind of try and weave stuff in as we go along, if that's all right. Like I said, please do keep asking me questions, because I'm going to keep asking you questions. Jackie, you hit in we're basically just answering the question, what leadership challenge you're facing at the moment. Right, in all of my training, I do understand that it's very easy to get overwhelmed because you get a lot of information. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed. All I'm asking is that you look for that one gem, so that one golden nugget of information that you can start to implement straight away. Everything that I do has practical application. I'm very keen on you being able to use everything that I do. I don't tend to drown you in theory, but it's stuff that you can actually get stuck in and use. If you get more than one, fantastic, but for this afternoon, just aim for one and go away and use it, and at least then you've got one thing under your belt. Please don't forget that I do love to hear how you're getting on, so let me know as you go along what your gem is, what points that you found particularly resonated with you, and at the end I'll give you details on how you can actually connect with me, so you can let me know how you're getting on going forward. Right, today we are going to be talking about stepping up to leadership. Now, this is not just for those of you that have been in a leadership role for a while, but also for those of you that that have been leading other people for quite some time, and you just want to really refine the skills. So before we go any further, can you just let me know which camp you sit in? Are you quite new to leading people, or are you an old hat? We'll use the phrase old hat. So new we've got there. And it really doesn't matter which camp you sit in, it's perfectly all right. So new, lots of news, fantastic. Yeah, Judy, been a leader a long time, that's fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, old hats. Uh, old hats, yeah, green to it, fantastic. Like a real mixed bag today. So we are going to be covering what kind of leader you want to be and why, and the 5 daily habits of an effective leader. And along the way, we are going to be talking about how to get the most out of your team. So hopefully, those of you that have been at it for a while will have some takeaways. Now, I did mention that I love working with leaders and managers, and I'd just like to mention why this is the case for me, because early on in my career, 2 things happened to me. And you probably had similar things happen to you as well. Now, the first, quite fresh out of university, I had a horrendous boss, and I'm talking a horrendous boss. In fact, if I'm honest, all the bosses in this particular company were a bit of a nightmare. It was one of those jobs where you hated Sunday because Monday was next. Anyone been in that situation? Now, even though I really wanted to love my job, it was the first one that I'd had out of university, I was really enthusiastic. I had to leave after 6 months as it was making me so miserable. And even though it was the start of my career, I had zero experience of managing people. I had zero work experience, if I'm perfectly honest. I knew that there was a better way. I also realised that if you have to work, which let's face it, most of us do, why should it be made even harder? And I made up my mind back then that if I ever became a leader of people or responsible for a team, that I would never make them hate their weekends because of me. I never wanted them to spend the valuable time they have with their families moaning about me. Anyone been in that situation? We've got some yeses. Yeah, anyone been in there? So the next thing that happened to me was, again, very early on in my career, at the start of my learning and development path. I was working in a training department of a large retailer in a job that I absolutely loved. And a company that I loved, and once a month I was involved in delivering a really large company induction to about 300 people. Whilst I was waiting for my turn to speak, the CEO of the company at that time was saying a few words to everybody. Now, I can't remember his exact words, but he said something like, "You're all managers now. Someone will have helped you get you to where you are today. Now it's your turn to help other people on their way. This is your meal ticket." Now, this is like a lightning bolt to me. It really resonated with me. And it was something that just has stuck with me, because even right at that moment, I knew that that's what I wanted to do, that I wanted to help other people achieve the success that they were looking for and help other people on their way. Has anyone had an experience similar to that? Now, I'm telling you these 2 stories, not just to give you a bit of an insight into what drives me every day and so that you can get to know me a little bit, but to give you some food for thought for what kind of leader you want to be. Because let me ask you a question. Who is it that you learn from when it comes to leading others? Because so often when we think of, yeah, you've got your leaders, your own managers, absolutely. So often when we think of leaders, especially when we use the term leader, we tend to think of people that are in the public eye. Excuse me. The Richard Bransons, the Winston Churchills, the Nelson Mandelas of this world, which is fantastic. And yeah, we should be learning from these people, but they're not with us every day. We weren't able to have spend any time with them, and all we understand about these people is what we've assumed and guessed and what we're going off we've read or seen on TV. And it can be just as powerful to think back to our own experiences, regardless of how long ago it was, and see what really made an impact on you as a person. So a lot of you said your managers, your peers, other great leaders you've worked for, all the staff within your office, absolutely. Because here's the thing, you've been picking up behaviours from people already. You'll have already picked up some traits that you've observed from all of those people that you've all mentioned, from either your manager, from the people around you, other people's bosses, because behaviour breeds behaviour, and we just don't even realise that we're picking it up. It's a subconscious thing. It's like the minute that you realise you've turned into your mother. And for this exercise, the next one that's coming up, I want you to do this consciously rather than subconsciously. And let's give it a little bit of thought. So I've illustrated this as some pillars, with the foundation being to really get to know yourself. Because once you start to get to know yourself, everything that you do as a leader will stem from that. It will come from that. So let's do the first exercise. What I want you to do is to have a think of your best boss and think about what traits they have or had that made them so good. Now, I'll give you just a moment to scribble things down and share them in the chat box. If you haven't got a boss that you can think of, just think of somebody else's boss. It's fine. So you're thinking of your best boss and what traits they had or have that made them so good. What have we got? We've got they listen, open and honest, approachable. Yeah, approachable. Loads of approachable. Helpful feedback, listen, supportive. Fantastic. So once you've done your list, scan it and find at least 3 that you can start adding into your daily routine. No, well, you look at your own personal list, but yeah, you can pick up ideas from everybody else in the chat. But pick up at least 3 key traits that really resonate with you that you can start adding into your daily routine. So you're looking at the ones that really matter to you. There are a lot of good ones on there. Honest, calm, opportunity to take risks, allowed me to learn new skills, great one. Wanted to develop others, good communications, give freedom to act. There's some fantastic ones on there, I love it. And how great that you've had experiences like that. So now I mentioned that I made a personal commitment back at the start of my career that if I ever was in charge of anybody and I ever led a team, that I would want to be able to go home and look myself in the mirror and know that I made the right decisions for my team and that I would always act in integrity. Now this is going to be different for everyone because we're all different, but for me it wasn't so much about being everyone's friend because as a leader it wasn't always possible, but it was about me being myself and authentic and remembering that everyone was human with their own needs and aspirations. So when the time did come for me to lead a team, I did a really quick exercise which I'd like you to have a quick go at now. I want you to imagine a member of your team, and this person can be fictitious, it doesn't have to be a real person, it can be if you want it to. So imagine a member of your team going home to their partner or their family and they're describing you as a leader. What would you want them to say? Not what would they say about you now, but what would you ideally want them to be saying about you? So just have a think of that and come up with, on your own list, on a scrap of paper, come up with at least 5 bullet points, but share them in the chat as well so I can see where we're at. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, I like that one as well. Wise and competent, knowledgeable, bring value. Yeah, bring value to the team, knowledgeable, inspiring. I do too. Can you hear? Can you hear, Liz? Because I'm trying to Liz at the same time. I'm suddenly aware that you might only be getting one side of this conversation. Knowledgeable, inspiring, able to resolve everything. Oh God, yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Clear of direction, vocalise this, encourage buy-in, responsive. There's some really good ones here. Now, it might be that some of the bullet points that you've just come up with are the same as your best boss exercise, which is fantastic. Because what you're finding there is that these are the things, the points that are really important to you right now. And they're the ones that should go straight on your personal development plan and you should start weaving into your daily routine. The similar, the ones that are the same on both lists. Now, this will give you a great idea of, I'm looking at the chat box as well at the same time, this will give you a great idea of what kind of leader you want to be, because these are the points that really resonate with you, they're the ones that really matter to you as a person, so focus on these first. By all means, do this exercise after this webinar and when you've got a bit more time, and come up with a list that you're really happy with. And you don't have to just create one list. You can kind of look at it for a week and try it on for size and play about with it, just so that you end up with a list that you're really happy with and fits you, and use these as your compass for the way that you're behaving every single day. Now, these exercises are so simple and quick, and they can be done over time, again and again, just to keep readjusting and redirecting your course, because it's so easy, isn't it, to sway off track when you're in the day-to-day. The point here to remember is that you decide at any point what kind of leader you want to be, whether you're a newbie, as so many of you are, or whether you're an old hat and you've been doing this for a while. You can keep tweaking and keep changing what kind of leader you are. And often when I work with leaders, they want to understand the type of leader they are now and want to do things like profiling questionnaires, which are fantastic. But what I'd like you to remember today is that you can always tweak the way you behave just by making a conscious decision to behave slightly different, and get some good feedback from your team to make sure that what you're doing really serves them as well, so it's a two-way street. Now, the problem here is that good intentions to keep yourself on track is a lot easier said than done. I do spend a lot of time with leaders who have skills in bucket loads but get really caught up in their day-to-day work. This means that they can often be really focused on working on their own tasks and their own to-do list, that they forget that their primary objective is to work for the team. So in order to avoid that happening, we're going to start looking at some of those daily habits of really effective leaders that I've picked out for you. Now, these aren't definitive habits, but when I was thinking about this webinar, I thought about the most common traits that I see and I come across, but also sometimes the most sought after skills. And the first trait that I've classed as part of the foundations of our pillars, because once you've had these in place, they'll really serve you well, and that's processes and systems, and finding processes and systems that really work for you. Because by doing that, you are going to feel so much, yeah, we'll skip over these, we should have mentioned that. By getting processes and systems that really work for you, you are going to feel so much more in control of your day. Being in control of your day is such an important step to being an amazing leader. It's because when you feel in control of what you can and can't achieve, you're much less likely to get stressed, you get less likely to get flustered, and therefore you can make informed decisions and think more clearly. And when you're in control, the people around you will feel like they can trust you and that you know exactly where they're heading. Because think back to the last time when you felt overwhelmed. Just do this for me now. Think the last time when you felt overwhelmed about what you felt that you had to achieve in that day. So there was just stuff going on and there was all sorts happening. How in control did you feel? How able were you to make great decisions or solve problems easily? Yeah, no, when I'm up against it, or I feel like my days go swirling out of control, I don't feel in control of anything else either. I'll just let you answer that question. People are typing away before I keep going. Yeah, you feel panic, absolutely. So by putting those processes and systems and taking that time, was it this morning? Putting that time in to get those processes and systems that really work for you, it is going to stand you in good stead. I've picked 3 of the key areas that you should focus on. If you want more, I have a free program on my website, but I can give you details about that later. But 3 that you really could focus on. Number 1 is just getting organised. Sometimes spending a bit of time getting organised can be a real lifesaver, because if you're the type of person that spends quite a lot of time looking for things, or whether it's looking for real life things like me with my keys, or just documents and folders and emails that you've filed in some obscure place, then this is going to, it just adds on to the rest of your day, and it makes you feel overwhelmed and panicked, like what you've said on the chat. So do block out a couple of hours to go through your documents on your PC and file things properly. If you open up your laptop or you turn on your PC and your desktop is covered in folders and files, spend some time and declutter it. You are going to feel so much better. And even go to the extent of going through your desk drawers and having a right good old clear out, because you're going to just feel amazing when you've done it. My next tip is decide what time of day you work best. Often we force ourselves to focus at times of day that just don't suit our own body clock. So instead of working against it, work with it. If you work best first thing in the morning, don't go into work and turn on your email. Instead, use that first hour when you've got a clear head to focus on an important project or to get something big off your to-do list, because you are going to feel great for the rest of the day. You'll feel like you're completely in control and you'll feel like you've really achieved something. The alternative is the same. If you're a night owl like me, do your focus time later on in the afternoon when you're at your best and turn off your email and really get cracking. So find out what time of day you work best and work with it. And number 3, excuse me, is use your calendar to be selfish. And by this I mean block out time slots for you. Now, there can be buffer slots in between meetings just so you can catch your breath, or time slots to really allow you to focus on things. Either way, they'll stop you or anybody else in your team blocking up your day, excuse me, with other things, giving you some time to get things done. Right, before we move on, just let me know, where do you tend to fall down when it comes to being in control of your day, if this is an issue for you? Sidetracking, yeah. Reactive issues that take over. Yeah, so interruptions, is that what you mean, Heather? Another sidetracking. Oh, no, people needing things yesterday, yeah. Email with immediate demands. hmm Yeah, yeah. Conflicting priorities. It might be an idea at some point. We'll do a webinar around this. We can book that in. What do you think, Liz? Yes. Lots of people asking you to do things at the right time. Oh, they're coming in thick and fast. Yep. Right, we're going to move on, but keep them coming. Right, habit number 2 is communication. Now, yes, please. In particular, for the purpose of this webinar, is listening. Now, I mention listening in every single one of my webinars that I've done. I think it's turned into a bit of a drinking game where every time I say listening, you can have a drink. And I do it unapologetically because listening is something that I'm so passionate about because let's face it, we're not really very good at it. And it's one thing that can make someone else feel so valued and special and respected, and it doesn't cost a penny. Now, I say we don't do it very well because I do see it happening on a regular basis. So how many times have you been on the receiving end of someone who's texting or tapping away at their laptop while you're trying to speak to them? Now, this happens to me every day because I've got 3 teenagers in the house, so I can't remember the last time I tried to speak to them without a gadget being in the way. But, yeah, how does it feel when you're actually trying to talk to somebody when they're busy, tapping away at their PC? Or, yeah, annoying and rude, frustrating. Yeah, I hear you. I dismissive. Yeah, like you're being dismissed. Oh, I completely agree. It really gets to me as well. Right, be honest. You're amongst friends. How many of us have actually done this? Anyone willing to admit? Yeah, me. Yeah, I know you're all right. It's okay. That's fine. So if nothing else, let's make a commitment to try not to do this to someone again. Now, the problem here is that you're just busy, and I understand that. But you're tapping away at your laptop for 2 reasons. One, because you've got something to do, and you don't want to lose focus. And 2, because you do not want the other person to take root at your desk and be there for ages when you've got shed loads to do. Is that right? So how do we still ensure we get the task done? Yes. How do we ensure that we get the task done and stop the other person taking root if we actually stop what we're doing and focusing on them? Yeah, it's the million-dollar question. And I'm going to give you the best answer. I say it myself. I think it's a great answer. It does actually work. And that is be honest. If you've got something that you really need to do and you are in the middle of it and somebody comes up to your desk and they want some of your time, just tell them that you want them to pop back later and that you're going to give them your full attention and give them a specific time. Don't be vague and say come back in 10 minutes, but say can you come back at whatever time. Because you are just busy at the moment and you need to focus on whatever it is that you're doing. Now, most people don't mind that because they'd much rather you be honest and come back and have your full attention than talk to you whilst you're tapping away at your PC and you're obviously not listening to them. So give this a go. I do know it absolutely works, and I'd love to know if it works for you. Let's have a look. Where am I looking? Conversely, you need to manage the open door or you get too many interruptions. I completely agree, Miranda. Yeah, and it's exactly what I've said. So just be honest with people. Listening is a skill that does take some practice, but please, please do keep at it, even though at times you might find it exhausting because it is tiring listening to people. The secret to listening is to really focus on the other person and what they are saying to you. Use eye contact and your body language to show that you're listening. And by this I mean nodding, making listening noises to encourage them to continue speaking, and use their words when you reply so that they know that that you understand what they're saying. Now it is hard work to listen to people, but it's so rewarding, and trust me, when you practice it, I like listening to people now because you learn so much about them, and you can understand exactly what it's like in their world. I'm reading the chat as well, Daniel. What, is there a risk that you aren't seen as approachable if you ask people to come back because you're too busy? No, I don't think so. I think, well, let me ask you a question. Would you prefer, being on the receiving end, would you prefer me to say to you, would you mind coming back in 10 minutes and then you've got my full attention? Or if I'm focusing on something and I'm tapping away at my PC whilst you're trying to speak? For me personally, and certainly for the people that I've worked with, they're quite happy to come back. And I'll keep that promise. I'll be completely attentive to what they need at that particular time. So yeah, if you ask them to come back, please do keep that promise, and make sure that you do give them your full attention. Definitely, Paul, as long as you honour your commitment for time later. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, we'll keep going. Sorry. We're going to be here all afternoon. Well, I'm going to rustle on. Right. The second one is trust. Now, this is another favourite of mine, as I do see the fallout of this a lot. Trust is a massive one. It filters into so many different areas of leadership, and it's impossible to follow someone if you don't truly trust them, because you tend to go along with what they say, but you'll always be looking out for that hidden agenda, and that leads to a culture of them and us. It leads to cliques and a really unhealthy working environment. So as a leader, building up trust is a really important thing to do. Now here's the thing, you can't trust someone you don't know, so it's important that you get to know your team properly and that you also allow them to get to know you. Now I mentioned this last point as I do meet many people that don't really want their team to get to know the real them, as they feel it'll ruin the respect that they've got or their credibility or the image they've built up. But we all know that everyone is human and that we've all got a personal life. The best leaders are the ones that aren't Jekyll and Hyde, but do share their personalities with the team. And this means telling them your stories of how you got to where you are today, talking about your successes, do talk about your failures and your mistakes, mention your personal life and what you get up to outside of work, because it just makes you all the more human and you'll allow your team to really resonate with you. And do take the time to get to know your team as well. It is not a one-way street. So find out what they get up to outside of work, what are their hobbies, their passions and aspirations, because all of that will really help you to build up trust together. Once you've done that, you need to start demonstrating that you trust them by empowering them to do their job. If you're a natural micromanager, this is one that you're going to need to work on, as you'll get so much more from your team if you train yourself to empower them and to be a bit more self-sufficient. Now, if you're not used to this, then this is going to take a bit of time. It's not going to be an overnight thing. And if your team naturally come to you to solve every problem and make every decision, it's now time for you to start pushing back a little bit. And you can do this by, instead of just jumping in when they come to you with a problem, ask them to think of what the solution might be and coach them through it, or even ask them to come up with 3 possible ideas before you both think of the best course of action. Like I said, it does take time, and you've got to retrain yourself to not just jump in, because it's going to be quicker and easier that way. It's definitely a case of short-term pain for long-term gain, so do keep reminding yourself to trust your team, but at the same time, be there if they need you for support, praise and coaching. Okay, right, number 4 I think we're on. And again, this is one of my favourite. I think they're all my favourite actually, and this one's about recognition. Now, by recognition, essentially I mean praising for a job well done and saying thanks to the team. Now, this is one that I hear people saying to me all the time, that they really do struggle with this one. It can be tricky for so many people, but it is one that's so important, and the best advice I can give you here is to find a style that suits you. There are loads of different techniques you can use, but I'd recommend always praising people for a job well done as soon as you can after the event, because it really means a lot. So many people get disgruntled and feel unappreciated because they've slogged their guts out and not got a single word of thanks or praise, but it's a simple thing that really works. Now, for so many people that I work with, they're worried about it being disingenuous. And for me, I think providing it comes from the heart and you mean what you're saying, then it'll never be disingenuous. So if this is a problem for you, or something that you've struggled with in the past, you might want to give this one a try. Now, the final habit that I've picked out is resilience. Now, as we all know, not everything goes to plan, and sometimes doesn't it just happen where the universe seems to do everything in its power to work against you? When that happens, it's so easy to just want to hide in the nearest cupboard, and it's all you can do to stop yourself sticking your head in the oven. But this is where you need to be able to shake yourself off and start again. Because here's the thing, leading others, it can be a bit lonely at times, and sometimes your inner voice does like to become your worst enemy while it reminds you that you're not good enough and that you've only got to where you are today out of sheer luck. But loads of leaders struggle with limiting beliefs and things like imposter syndrome. So if this is you, then I just want to reassure you that you are in really good company. And this is going to take some time to practice, but practice shrugging off your limiting beliefs and replacing them with positive things that you've achieved, and just quieting down that negative voice that you've got, and know that you are doing a great job. It also really helps to surround yourself with positive people who you can really learn from and only want to see you succeed, because that will make a massive difference. Now, my final thing that I want to mention, which is a bit of a bonus habit, is this is all about role modelling. Now, remember when I mentioned at the very start of the webinar about bringing other people on? Well, the very best way you can do this is to role model the way, and as behaviour, like I said before, really does breed behaviour. As a leader, you are on show from the minute you enter the office until the minute you leave. Other people, whether you realise it or not, or whether they realise it or not, will be watching how you behave, and they'll be picking up some of your traits and adopting some of your traits. So make sure they're picking up some really good ones. So has anyone got any questions about anything that we've mentioned whilst I wrap up? I'd also like to remind you about your gem that we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. So I'd love to know what that one gem was that you're going to take away and have a go. So any questions, now's the time, and also if you can share your one gem with me, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, whilst you're scribbling, move on again. Here's me. It would be really lovely to hear how you're getting on and what you've put into practice. And if you're struggling at all, do ask me questions. You can join me on Twitter if you're on there. I've got a Facebook page. You can join me on there if you're on Facebook or even LinkedIn. Or definitely sign up to my newsletter at barbaranixon.co.uk. And by doing that, you'll hear all about latest events and training that I'm doing. Let's have a look at questions. Oh, we've got some 10... Right, 7 minutes to go, so let's have some questions. Some gems. When I do work best and do important work then. Yeah, Judith, that works so well for me. When I realised that, to work with my body clock rather than against it, because often you feel forced to start being, especially for me, I'm an evening person, I felt forced to be productive straight away. By just switching when I actually do my focus work, it made a massive impact on my productivity. Yeah, remember to smile. Definitely, Miranda, love that. Like the step about resilience, brilliant. I'm glad about that, Emily. Let me know what you put into practice and how that works for you. I'm going to try and work. What's that? I'm going to try and look at what time I work best and block out what time. Yeah, like I said to Judith, it really works. Shrugging off limiting beliefs. That does take some practice, but the best thing I think to do is to, every time you get a negative thought, replace it with something great that you've done. Yeah, I do try to say to people, give me a moment if I'm in the middle of things, but I'll now actively stop myself to listen properly to people. Yeah, if you're able to stop and listen to people, definitely. Or if not, if you are focusing on something, then just ask them to come back. Love the imposter syndrome. Not come across that before. I think we did a webinar on that, didn't we? It was called Managers Demons, from what I remember. We can do that again. Oh yeah, Liz can send that off on. That's all about limiting beliefs. Yeah, role modelling really does rub off. And often as leaders we forget that we're on show. So yeah, glad about that one. focus on the positive. So anyone got any questions? No questions, all fantastic gems, which is brilliant today. Not any got any questions? Well, thank you very much for today. I've really enjoyed. I could have chatted to you all afternoon if Liz hadn't have just like elbowed me. Yeah, we could have still been at it. That was your whole afternoon written off, just chatting to me. But thank you very much, everybody. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm going to pass you over to Liz. See you later.
Thanks, Barbara. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone's got a few hidden gems coming out of that one. Brilliant one to start off our September autumn term series. So lots of information, lots of thank yous coming through. Brilliant. So it would be fabulous if you, go back one, if you could leave your feedback on this particular website for Barbara. I'm sure she'd love to hear that from you from that point of view. And just before I let you go, 2 webinars coming up next. Next week we've got appraisals, making them smarter with Joanne Vose, and the week after we've got family friendly rights with Caroline Acton from Winston Solicitor. Goodness me, that's going to talk about all sorts of things that come into there. So please join us there. And looking at the chat just before I sign off, Managers Demons, if there's anybody, I haven't got a poll to put out there, but if you would like the Managers Demons, just say yes now on the chat. That would be great. And then see how many there are. Brilliant. I'll send a link to that as well when I send the links through for the webinar today. That's brilliant. And so listen to that on YouTube. Fabulous. So if anybody's got anything else they'd like to add or say, then please do so now, because in the next 30 seconds or so. Oh, would you like a webinar on controlling your day is a question from Barbara. If you would, say yes. If that's the next webinar, yes, that's good. We're just brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, so that's a good one. So maybe that's the next one that we'll put in for, say, November time for everybody to watch this space for Barbara's next event. Fabulous, Barbara. I feel I'm going to back to my team now and be a fabulous leader. I don't know about you guys. Learned a lot today. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the webinar in just a couple of minutes.